this video, I'm going to show you the 3 chords you must master in order to have success at jazz piano. These are the major 7th chord, minor 7th chord, and dominant 7th chord. And I'm going to show you in the simplest, most practical ways possible. Hey there, I'm Jonathan. If you're new here, the South Shore Piano School YouTube channel is all about providing tools, tips, tricks, tutorials, motivation, anything to help make your piano journey as successful and fun as possible. So let's talk about these 3 chords. We'll start with major 7th chords. When you see this in a lead sheet, it'll either show up as the letter with an MAJ followed by 7, or it could also be the letter with a triangle and 7. Both mean a major 7th chord. To figure out a major 7th chord, we're going to think about the major scale of the root of the chord. All you have to do is stack 1, 3, 5, and 7 of that major scale, and that's your major 7th chord. In this case, a C major 7th chord. Another example, if we wanted to figure out an A major 7th chord, think A major scale, 1, 3, 5, 7. There's my A major 7th chord. Now, if you're not that familiar with scales yet, a shortcut you can use is just counting the half steps in between the notes. In this case, for a major 7th chord, you could start with your root and then count up 4 half steps. 1, 2, 3, 4, up 3, 1, 2, 3, and then another 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's 4, 3, and 4 for a C major 7th chord. Next, let's talk about minor 7th chords. Minor 7th chord symbols will have the letter either followed by a minus sign or the letters MIN, standing for minor, followed by 7. If you have your major 7th chord, all you have to do to change this into a minor 7th chord is lower the 3rd and lower the 7th. So this will be a C minor 7th chord. If you're familiar with your natural minor scales, you could in this case take C natural minor and just play 1, 3, 5, 7. That'll also get you to a minor 7th chord. Once again, if you're still early in your scale journey, you can just count the half steps if you're really stuck. In this case, you start with the root of your chord, count up 3 half steps, 1, 2, 3, up 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then another 3, 1, 2, 3. So kind of the reverse of the major 7th, 3, 4, 3, and that gets you to the minor 7th chord. To show another example, how about D minor 7th? If you know your major scale, D major 7 would be 1, 3, 5, 7. We could lower these 2 notes. That'll bring you to the D minor 7 chord. If you happen to know D natural minor scale, 1, 3, 5, 7, there's your D minor 7 chord. Or if you wanted to do the half step trick, root of the chord, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, D minor 7. And then finally, we have dominant 7th chords. The symbol for this is just the letter with the number 7 after it. To figure out a dominant 7th chord, you can take, once again, your major 7th chord and then just lower the top note by a half step, and that turns it into a dominant 7th chord, in this case, a C dominant 7th chord. The dominant 7th chord is usually the 5 chord in a key. We'll talk about what that means in just a moment. And again, if you're totally stuck, you can do a half step trick for this one as well. In this case, you have the root of your chord, go up 4 half steps, up 3, and then up 3. So 4, 3, and 3 to figure out a dominant 7th chord. And then just to show one more example, let's say we're trying to figure out an E dominant 7th chord. We start with our E major 7 chord as our starting point and just lower that top note by a half step, E dominant 7. But now let's talk about the different chords you'll find within a key, because that's going to help us out a lot when we're playing lead sheets. Let's say we're in the key of C major. The 1 chord, or the chord that would be built on the first end of the scale up to a 7th chord, that's going to be your major 7th chord. The 2 chord will be a minor 7 chord. The 3 chord will be a minor 7 chord as well. The 4 chord will be in major 7. The 5 chord, this is important, will be a dominant 7 chord. The 6th chord will be a minor 7 chord. The 7th one is unusual. We didn't talk about that today, but this will be a half diminished 7 chord, and then you're back to your major 7 1 chord. This can help us because the most common chord progression in jazz is the 2, 5, 1 chord progression. So when you're reading a lead sheet, if you see a minor 7 chord followed by a dominant 7 chord followed by a major 7 chord, there's a good chance that that's a 2, 5, 1. And if you're familiar with your scales of that key, then you can just build the chords on those notes of the scale. For example, if I know my B flat major scale really well, and I see a 2, 5, 1 progression, C minor 7, F dominant 7 to B flat major 7, I know that's in the key of B flat major. So even if I'm not super familiar with these chords, all I have to do is stack a chord on the C, following the flats are in B flat major, so that would be my 2 chord, C minor 7, followed by my dominant 7, building a 7 chord on the 5th note, again keeping the flats that are in the B flat major scale, and then resolving to the 1 chord, which should just be 1, 3, 5, 7, built on the 1st note of the scale. A great starter tune to practice this is Tune Up, because it's just a 2, 5, 1 in 3 different keys from the beginning. Starting with a 2, 5, 1 in D major, and then a 2, 5, 1 in C major. So there's my minor 7, dominant 7, major 7, and then 2, 5, 1 in B flat major. But these chords are just part of the picture because you need the modes that go with them in order to improvise well, and this video goes deep into that. I'll see you over there.